This video is going to walk you through how to name ketones. Ketones are a lot like aldehydes. They are both organic compounds containing a carbon-oxygen double bond, known as a carbonyl group. With ketones, the oxygen is double bonded to an internal carbon, which is bonded to two other atoms in the form of this structure. It is important to follow these steps when naming ketones. First, we want to identify the longest carbon chain and count the number of carbons. Second, we want to look for any substituent groups. Third, we want to identify where the carbonyl is attached, so what number carbon the carbonyl is attached to. And lastly, we want to change the name, the ending of the name with the suffix "one", O-N-E. Don't forget about alphabetical order when putting your name together. On some of the terms we'll use to name ketones. You may pause the video if you find this helpful. When we're talking about one carbon, we're going to use the term meth, 2, eth, 3, prop, and you get the idea. For our first example, we can see that we have a cyclic structure here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons in a ring. And since there's no other substituent groups, we don't have to worry about putting a number in front of our name. So we have cyclo, hex for 6, and then we add our O-N-E, so that's cyclohexanone. For our second, identify the carbon, the longest carbon chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. We identify 2 methyls on carbons 2 and carbon 4, and our carbonyl on carbon 3. So we name this 2,4-dimethyl. And we can't forget, we need to locate the carbonyl, which is on the 3, pent for 5, and then we add our O-N-E, pentanone. So that's 2,4-dimethyl-3-pentanone. In our third example, there's 2 ways to name this. The first way is to identify the longest chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons, and our carbonyl group on the 2. So we name this 2, pent for 5, unknown. Or a more traditional way is to recognize that there's a group of 3 carbons here and a methyl there. So we can also name this propyl for the 3 carbons, methyl for the 1 carbon, and ketone for the carbonyl group. So that's propyl methyl ketone. Again, we see a ring in our fourth example. So we know it's cyclo. We count the carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons, so bute, and we name this cyclo, bute for 4, unknown. Our fifth example is a little bit trickier. It consists of 2 carbon chain with no carbon-carbon double bond. It has a CO group in the middle, and attached is a benzene ring, which we refer to as a phenyl group. So, to name this, we have 1, 2, 3, and we know that this is an ethyl group, so we name it phenyl for the benzene, eth for the 2 carbon chain, unknown for the ketone. In our sixth example, we have a few things going on. So, right away, identify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 carbons in our longest chain. Identify that there's 2 methyl groups off the 5, and identify the carbon that our carbonyl is attached to. So we start with the methyl. So 5, 5, di for 2, methyl, 3 for the location of the carbonyl compound, and hept for 7, going off the page, O-N-E for ON. So that's 5,5-dimethyl-3-heptanone. Now that we've learned how to name structures, we're going to look back at how to draw the structure given the name. In this first example, right away we want to find out how many carbons are in our chain. So we see but, that must mean 4. So we start by drawing 4 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next thing we recognize is that there's a chloro on the third group. So 1, 2, 3. We can draw chloro. 2, butanone. Well, we know that we need a carbonyl compound, and our 2 indicates that it would be on the second carbon. That's where our double bond oxygen goes. In this example, it's a very long name, so we want to pick it apart. We know it's cyclo, there must be a ring, hex for 6, and we know that we've got a hydroxy group on the 2. So let's start by drawing the 6-membered ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And place our carbonyl group. And 1, 2, so 2-hydroxy-methyl. So the methyl comes off, 2 to the hydroxy, and we have an OH. All right. I'm going to leave you with an extra problem to think about. This compound here is used in many organic labs and is very common. It has a common name. It might help you to name it if you think about how we talked about these as phenol groups. Best of luck! Thanks for watching our video, and check out our page for more information.